lantern-like object forming a diamond shape in the air, hovering in the sky for over an hour.
But then Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld, who stated that there is $2.3 trillion unaccounted for in the Department of Defense budget. Let me repeat that number, $2.3 trillion.
Strange lights seen in the Arctic sky. These spiraling white lights were seen several minutes with.
Not only are we in the universe is in us.
Your next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Welcome to the Otherworldly Podcast, your source for the strange, bizarre, and interstellar.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is episode 2 of the Otherworldly Podcast, starring yours truly, Mike, and over across the room I got Exo Rose. What up, yo?
Greetings, planet Earth. Yay, number 2.
Number 2, one in the bank, one on the way.
So exciting.
Yeah, you know, I had a lot of fun the last podcast. It was my first podcast.
And we have a lot of good response,
Yeah,
too.
I was pleasantly surprised. So, well, in addition to all the fanfare, we got a couple guests. The room is full. Well, one is we'll see. He might have a future here at the Otherworldly Podcast.
We're testing the waters tonight with this
on
new...
notice.
with
I
the
have,
new ones.
I have beer.
He brought it. And
That's my contribution.
So we have Tommy here.
Hello.
And then we also got Jacob. What up, Jacob?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Jacob.
and-
Jacob, who I will also call Will Wheaton, because he looks like Will Wheaton. And I have to say that for my fellow Wheaton lovers, who I know there has to be some listening.
He does. I always think he looks like a cross between Will Wheaton and then I don't know his name, but Ron Swanson. Yeah, I always think like a young Ron Swanson. Nick Offerman? Yeah, you look like a young Nick Offerman.
You look like a Trekkie logger.
As if you couldn't have made it even more perfect.
Oh, I know. That guy's so manly. Even
That
I
is an
even I think he's
amazing
sexy.
thing.
Jacob, I don't think you look like Will Wheaton at all. I think you're much better looking than Will Wheaton.
He's just trying to break my heart. Just let me have this.
Okay, you can have it.
Well, so thank you guys for. Oh, also Tamara's in the house supplying us with some tracks with a track tonight. Kicking it real.
While she does her thing and
doing her thing.
hustles her work.
Got about 5 dogs in here, 4 or 5 dogs, I think. The room, it's a full
family is
room.
here.
It's a real. We have an audience.
Yeah.
They have to be in the room with us, or else we couldn't even possibly. do
My
this.
foot's already been asleep for like 10 minutes.
Oh boy, well you should probably angle out of there. The studio's a little cramped. We're this is this is makeshift. This is makeshift at best. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm a musician, not a
Right.
Yeah, not a.
That
Although I
works.
couldn't do this without you, Mike.
Oh,
I've
thank
said
you.
that before. I know nothing about the equipment you throw in front of me, and I am so amazed. So thank you
Well, I appreciate it. It's gonna get better as we go. So
for sure.
well, all right. Well, anyway, let's do some intros here for Tom. So why don't we give you a little quick interview? We'll practice our interview skills.
Let's
Okay.
ask you the question.
Ask me whatever you want. I'm an open book.
All right, you got something?
You can.
All right, I'll
you
go.
ahead.
All right, yeah. So I mean, I've known you a long time, but let's talk about
13 years now.
Yeah, a long time.
Jesus.
And I mean, I'm real interested in your perspective about a lot of the topics we talk about because of I mean, you have a military background, and
I do.
that adds a certain level of credibility, at least in general society. I mean, you're credible enough to defend our country, so your opinion matters and stuff like this. I think that's pretty.
I think so. Yeah, I did just over 4.5, almost 5 years.
Yeah.
Here in Tucson at Davis Monthan. So
And
did 9 months in the Middle East. So,
yeah,
Yeah, I served.
you did, and thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
And also, yeah, you're
Aye,
also
sir.
fellow musician, DJ.
I do. I DJ with your wife on a regular basis, and
Tamara.
I make music with you.
That's oh.
Oh, you do.
Anyway. Oh, I see.
I work with both Jennies
so-
on a very personal level.
So
The Jennies.
So what got you into these kind of topics?
Well, I find them
Weird topics.
insanely interesting as thought experiments. mainly because, and we've had this conversation before, but I'm absolutely a skeptic at heart. So I come from a place of I don't like making positive claims or negative claims about any particular topic. I start from I don't know, because I don't. But the only way to find those things out in any given topic, whether it's the spiritual things, supernatural things, paranormal things, talking about UFOs, talking about other planets and things like that, is to actually engage in those conversations. Whether they're thought experiments or you're talking about what other people are talking about or things that happen in the news, what have you, the only way to find answers is to be willing to sit down and actually have those conversations, regardless. And
So-
that's the part I find fascinating.
So do you believe in life elsewhere?
From a probability perspective, yes. Do I have any specifics on that belief, whether it's bacterial or intelligent or whether or not we've been visited, things like that? No. I have no clue.
Good answer.
Good answer.
That's reasonable.
And that's perfect, for what we're trying to get to. We're trying to cover all of those.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So with all fringe topics, what's your favorite? What do you find yourself fascinated with the most, like these days? What are you reading a lot about? What rabbit holes do you like going down?
Mostly religion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which probably isn't going to apply a lot here, and that's okay.
I don't know. See, that's the thing, is I disagree.
Not really. I mean,
we've heard my spiels about hidden,
Right.
hidden history and stuff. So I mean, I don't know. I think the
Vatican has a very big part in the disclosure movement.
well, yeah, they got
and
a huge telescope, right?
Well,
They got
yeah.
one of the
here
best
in Tucson.
Yeah, one of the
or-
best telescopes
or
on the planet.
outside of Tucson.
Right.
No, they haven't. They're incredible observatories around the planet. So I mean, I think that and especially religion's going to look to the sky for God, especially in the beginning, right? I mean,
Right, and I
you're
think for me, and that's where the big question comes in. I think
At least
over the last 5 or 10 years,
traditionally.
I stopped really caring too deeply or getting too deep into what people believe, and started asking what I think to be a more important question of why do you believe that? And being a skeptic, I think that applies across the board, and that brings me much more. Even if I don't get definitive answers out of it, the other thing I do get, especially when I'm amongst friends and talking about topics like this, I learn how other people come to conclusions. So like when me and you, Mike, have these conversations, you do have a tendency to go all over the place.
Oh, I do.
And I love that, though. I do.
That's also the marijuana talking.
Right, I'm sure. But the thing that I love about it, though, is even if you look at it from a simplistic point of view, if you add an alphabet to it, you go from A to Z, and I'm still stuck on B, not understanding how you got to Z. And then we end up talking. Next thing you know, it's been an hour and a half of me trying to figure out how you got to Z. So not only do I get to talk about and engage in these topics, but I also get to learn how other people think, how other people come to these conclusions, and what allows them to get to a point of belief.
So essentially, I needed someone to corral me.
Pretty much.
All right. Yeah, that's about right.
I have seen you naked.
We need to be challenged.
Someone, you're the iron shackles that are going to hold me to earth. All right, fair enough. All right, well that's pretty good. What do you got? Anything for him?
I think that covered it.
All right,
We'll
hit-
see,
And,
we'll
and
see
thanks
how
for
it
having me,
goes.
by the way. I
Hey, no
appreciate it.
problem.
I've been looking
Should
forward
be
to it for a while.
interesting.
Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions, Jacob?
Sure.
Okay. Well, here Jacob and I are sharing a microphone for
You guys are gonna have to cuddle up.
So we're gonna cuddle
The
up.
tech
Do you want
nerds
to?
out there.
Do you want?
We have to get
Do you want to Springsteen this?
Very nice and close. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
I smell
There
like
you
our
go.
power
I smell
duet.
like booze. I'm sorry.
Watch the hands.
No, I'm drinking the same thing you are.
Well, anyway. Oh yeah, I should mention that we're
So it's okay if we get a little closer.
a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. So, is this better? I'm gonna look in your
I
eyes.
was gonna say, let's just like
This is
stare
a
at
very
each other.
beautiful sight for those that can't see.
This is slightly erotic.
Yeah. Well. So, all right. Well, so I'm gonna interview like this.
Okay.
So-
I'm just gonna be like this the whole time.
Yeah. And for those at home, we'll post a picture somewhere probably. But yeah,
Yeah,
Jacob,
I'm gonna make a blog tonight about you.
Jacob and I are roughly 4 inches. Our lips are probably 4 inches apart, and we're talking in the same microphone, staring into each other's eyes.
It's very intimate right now.
So, all right. Well, what?
Very beautiful sight.
All right. I'll pass this back to you. Okay. So what? I mean, what got you into this? Because you and I talk about a lot of stuff. I know that you definitely are interested in fringe topics.
I think what really got me into a lot of it was just growing up lived in a very conservative, traditional family, but I just from a very young age I loved reading, and I would read anything. It wasn't anything particular. I just loved to read, and just visiting libraries and stuff like that. Started reading about other things, other religions, other fringe topics like UFOs, things like that, and it just kind of like sparked my interest and kind of went from there.
That's awesome. So, yeah, what are you reading right now? I see a book over there.
Reading a book called Parallel Myths. Again, I'm kind of fascinated with the whole religious side of things, and just similarities between the religions, not just like old mythologies, but even like modern religions from different parts of the world that have striking similarities.
I think that needs to be one of our next big topics that we talk about. Then.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
I think we can get in a really good.
I think we can go.
I
a
wouldn't
little-
shut up if you
I
talk
think
about
we
that.
can go a little bit with that today, and we'll have to. I mean, because the four of us can chat like crazy, and I mean,
Right.
so I think we might veer into that territory. I mean, realistically, this is only loosely outlined with where we're going. So, I definitely think I can get us there.
What about the same question for you, though, Jacob? Do you believe in life out there and other planets and things like that?
That was going to
Oh.
be my question.
I stole it from you.
Wow, you just stole your thunder.
My bad.
Even though I know
Yeah.
we've had this conversation.
Yeah.
Please.
No, absolutely, I do. I mean, I think it would be incredibly naive not to think that there is.
Right.
Just with how big this universe is, to think that we're the only sentient life. There's got to be something out there.
Definitely.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, statistically. I mean, just
Right.
there's no way. I mean, just with the sheer volume of unexplored.
In our galaxy alone, there's at least 10,000 other habitable planets. I mean,
Absolutely. I can spawn a whole other conversation because I don't even think you need to. I mean, there's
no,
even a possibility that could be
we'll
on the
talk about
planet.
that next time.
all right.
So let's get into what we have for today.
Okay, so big question. You got two pretty famous people at this point. You got Dr. Stephen Greer,
The
who's
Godfather of Disclosure.
he's leading the movement. I mean, he's got hundreds of credible people behind him.
Thousands.
Versus
of followers, at least.
versus Tom DeLonge, who is punk rock legend,
Angels
pop
and
punk.
Airwaves.
Yeah.
Yep.
Entrepreneur,
Very
clothing
big
companies.
public figure.
Yeah. I mean, huge. So these two opposing viewpoints, who I mean, they kind of were on the same path. At I mean, for a while they were definitely more harmonious than they are now. We're gonna get into that, and so we'll explain more later. So before we do, let's get into some news. So what do you got going on?
3, 2, all engines running. Launch commit, liftoff.
Yeah, we got some space news. First, I want to talk about the Perseid meteor shower that is coming up in August. As Earth passes through the long trail by Comet Swift-Tootle, the Perseus... yeah, great name, NASA, or whoever named that. The Perseids are perhaps the most popular meteor shower. It's also maybe one of the biggest. It's going to peak as Earth passes through the most dense and dustiest area of the comet, which is occurring between August 11th and August 13th. So depending when you're listening to this, hopefully right when we release it, which will be right before the weekend, you'll be able to go out and see it. This is a very popular meteor shower, again, because it's one of the biggest, but this year it's going to be even bigger because it's an outburst meteor shower, which means it's going to appear double as other than the usual rate. So instead of maybe 100 or maybe even 75 to 100 meteors per hour, you're going to see between 150 and even 200 meteors per hour.
Oh, wow.
So this is one of the biggest that we've had since 2009.
Can we film it? Can we
Oh yeah, well we've been talking about maybe
let's go
going
ahead.
and camping out and seeing
So wait,
it, and I
what-
definitely will be getting photos, which we'll be posting on our Facebook. So for those that want to be able to see it or that can go see it, it's the best. You can see it best in the northern hemisphere, and down to the mid-southern latitudes. And it's going to look like it's going to come from the Perseus constellation. So if you...
show me where that is.
I'm also going to post a video as well as a star chart on our Facebook. So if you go to Facebook, The Otherworldly Podcast, I'll post a chart so that people know exactly where that constellation is. And again, the best time to see it is earlier in the month. We have a full moon coming up August 18th. It'll still be noticeable, but the earlier before the moon gets brighter. So between August 11th and August 13th will be the best days to see it. And usually around 10 o'clock. But, the later it gets, the darker it gets. So
We should, we should do some camping.
I think that would be
That sounds
a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Maybe
sounds
even
really cool.
throw in a C5 experiment in there as well.
I agree.
Because we know the difference between meteors and UFOs.
Yeah, you and I
unlike
were
a lot
talking
of
about
people
this week,
that,
actually.
Freak out on the internet because they see
You and I
they
were
see a
passing that
bright
back
green
and forth.
light.
Right. I sent you that other video. I'm gonna post this on the site too. There's this really compelling video of it was like around the same time last week when we had that space junk fly in, China's rocket that passed through that freaked everybody out in Utah.
Yeah, I saw that video.
It looks amazing. I was like, oh, that's beautiful. Like,
And
Right.
it was caused by space junk.
Yeah, no, it's all.
And yeah.
But as soon as I saw it break up and kind of like go in a pretty linear path,
obvious.
I was like, yeah, all right.
It broke into pieces.
So I'm gonna post a link to the video. Check it out. It's this really cool video. I think the most compelling part about this is that there's like 20 people on camera. It's a UFO sighting video. So I've seen it. I send Rosie a lot of these. And sometimes she says, yeah, that's nothing. And sometimes she goes,
debris.
oh yeah, I don't know. This looks pretty cool. Because, this one, you see one much like that video of the space debris coming in. You see an object that's kind of it's got a hue that looks familiar. It's coming in at a pretty linear path, pretty straight path.
Right.
And people are already freaking out though in the video, and so already I'm like, all right, well this is gonna be good because there's a ton of people watching this video, and that's always adds a bunch of credibility, right? And so all of a sudden it stops and breaks apart into like 5 other balls and kind of just hangs there.
And it moves in different directions as well.
And then some disappear, some reappear.
And then they come back together.
And it is pretty interesting. Like, I mean, granted, yeah, it can be Photoshopped, but I'm like 30 people are selling it really good.
It really looked like it could be manipulated.
It was,
like,
yeah, I mean,
it
you're a
looked
photographer,
legit.
so I don't know.
Yeah.
You would know more so than me. But
I mean, I've looked at a lot of these videos.
But yeah, I gotta send you this, but anyway,
Okay.
I'm gonna post it on the page and check it out. It's really cool. But yeah, so speaking of space junk,
Yeah, speaking of space junk, I mean, I'm sure everyone's seen this post on Facebook and stuff. Last month and earlier this month, they've been talking about it. There is a NASA video on the ISS has their live feed, when they're doing this stuff, and if you know me and if you've traveled with me and we've shared a hotel, I love watching NASA TV. It's my favorite thing as background. That's all I want to watch. So ISS has these live feed videos, whenever they're doing stuff, or sometimes it just shows Earth, and there was something that was creating the shape, or there was just some little orb right outside of Earth's atmosphere, and the camera happened to cut.
happened to cut.
It happened to cut.
Someone
Do you
pulled
know
a lever
how-
that
okay.
made, or hit a space bar. Probably it's not the 90s. I don't know.
Well, first of
I
all,
always
we have
reference
to
old
think
time
about
video equipment.
the ISS orbits the Earth 16 times a day. And that causes it to go in and out of communication between our satellites. Cameras cut all the time. If you watch NASA TV as much as I do, they cut. If you really look and see and how these cameras are pointed, how the light reflects, you see light orbs just like you would see in a photo of orbs that, people may think is a spirit or something.
All right.
There's
Sounds
light
reasonable.
that reflects off of maybe a satellite, or maybe, there's glares. And everything reflects off of each other in space. That's why we see what we see. That's why stars are bright. Their planets might be dead, but that's why our moon is the color it is, and why our sky is.
All right. Well,
the color it
that
is.
that's a really good point, because you have idiots like me who look online and see stuff flying through, like a dot in the sky.
Yeah,
And go,
and
oh
everybody
my God.
wants to go to the conspiracy side,
right.
saying, "Oh, the
So-
video just happened to cut."
But
them.
but that's because I don't constantly watch NASA TV. So
Yeah,
if I were watching
exactly.
NASA TV and I saw that this was a normal thing, then I or at least happen more often than this. But you see that, and in the context, it's media, it's sensationalized, absolutely.
And the amount of space junk, I don't think people really understand, the amount of stuff that's out there. From everything from dead satellites to more, and then once it's hit by asteroids, by other debris, it breaks up into even more pieces.
Well, okay, but you and I have seen stuff like the ST-44 satellite footage and stuff. We've said, but so when you see that kind of thing, have you ever just seen anything like that happen on NASA TV? That looks pretty. Do you think? Because when I see
satellites for sure,
but that one you see what looks like something interact with another object that's streaking across, like something's like firing a weapon or something at it, and it turns around and passes back the other direction. Remember that?
comets and asteroids. When you
I don't know. We'll look at that one again.
That's for another topic.
All right, fine. But anyway, all right. What else you got?
One more we have just announced today, if you're listening, August 3rd, the first private organization, Moon Express, got approved by the U.S. government to land on the moon. So we haven't been to the moon since the 70s, since the Apollo mission was cut off at Apollo 16. And now we finally have permission. And so Moon Express, they're hoping to win the Google Lunar X Prize, which means that they'll have to launch a robot vehicle to land on the moon, and they're hoping to get it by the end of 2017. And this vehicle has to land on the moon and move at least 1,600 feet on the lunar surface. And if they win this prize, they get up to $30 million, which will help them creating the first commercial lunar organization, which they're hoping to, I'm sure go from, doing commercial private, flights, as well as they're hoping to use it as a way. They're wanting to create a plan for the future missions to help access and extract lunar resources such as water ice to help our future, basically. I don't know. I think
that's
it's pretty
cool, but that concept kills me.
Okay.
It's exactly, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. Like this concept.
This concept that a private company has to get permission to leave the planet,
because
blows my mind.
Technically, no one owns the moon, but technically the
No one
government
owns the air.
moon.
So, yeah, but also with this, all right, you're going to see drastically different opinions here. All right, here's where it's going to come out. My conspiracy bones are like tingling here because.
Uh-oh.
All right, so.
And that's why you're here, Mike.
All right, so.
And I'm here. Go ahead.
All right, so this perfectly, is a perfect side note to our main topic today, because the first thing that you're going to have to deal with, oh my God, the first thing you're going to have to deal with
was that me?
Is if you're doing space tourism, or you're going to have more people than just a few have access to space, and there's something up there, you're going to have to rush disclosure real fast.
Who's to say there's something up there, though?
No, but that's what I'm saying. If there is something up there, like our two topics are, like our two guests are saying today, because if you're talking space tourism, and anything Stephen Greer is saying and anything Tom DeLonge is saying is true, then you're going to have to start telling people, because as soon as you take a commercial flight up there and they go, "Hey, what the hell is that thing on the moon?"
But wouldn't that kind of go to prove the opposite, though? Because
But you
if they
gotta
got the
remember-
permission, and they gave them permission to go to the moon, wouldn't that kind of
Well, if
say
they,
that
if
there's
they
at
had
least
to
nothing
get
on the moon?
But
permission,
no.
you have to
You
remember-
didn't let me finish. Hold on, you didn't let me finish. Here's where it goes. I'm calling it now, and it's a good thing that I'm a musician, and no one should be basing what they believe in off of my opinions anyway. But I am calling it now that it's not going to happen. That something is going to happen with all. I'm just saying it now. I know you naysayers say nay, but but I'm just gonna say that I think this is gonna be plagued with problems, and this isn't actually gonna happen. This is, even though we're getting some success right now, this is perfect. This is exactly.
Well, I would agree
because
that
no
it's
one
gonna
wants to believe that. Oh man, we can't even get something off the
I would
ground. No,
agree.
it's
I
gonna
would
work for a
agree.
while.
Well, and that's also a perspective.
There's going to be
issue
a reason why
because-
only some people can go to space. is
Okay,
what I
you got to
think.
think about it this way.
But
If
that's
they
just
had
me.
to get permission, that means that they're not going to be able to just go wherever they want. If you remember the Apollo missions, they were assigned to only certain spots, and they could not leave a certain, diameter of area. Like, okay, so 1,600 feet this lunar robot has to go. That's like not even 1/4 of a mile.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to explore too much, and this is just a lunar robot. So
So
you're
they're gonna
right.
be like a little
It's
playpen.
just- it's a small step.
Right, so-
but maybe it gives them enough time. Oh well, they're not going to figure anything out with
But
that.
it's not gonna be-
We're going to throw them in a spot that there's nothing.
But see,
there.
this isn't going to be like because I hear it get compared to the colonization of America, of the New World, where you had lots of parties coming in. I don't think this is going to be about countries getting to this is going to be corporations getting to the moon ultimately, because that's who's going to come up with the funding for this first, is how it seems. And
Well, it's the same with Mars.
And
We
right.
all know NASA's not
so
going to be
you're
the
still
first one on
ultimately going to
Mars.
have a few people having the keys to space. It's not like the New World where you just had to build a better boat. I mean, it is actually. You just have to build a better boat,
just
but
gotta
boats
have
are
more
really
money.
expensive now.
Yeah. Whoever
And-
has the most money will make it there faster.
Right. And and that's the thing. Who's ever getting to space first and establishing themselves there first is going to ultimately have control and set regulations, and that's tricky. And of course, America has, American interests are all of our. Normally we're Americans, so we're it should serve our interests.
Are you talking about the colonization of the moon?
Yeah, I'm talking about just because this is a step, and this is where I think you would have to.
That's at least running through their heads.
Right, because this is if you're a company right now and you're this is exactly like the New World. This is finding out there's a whole new place where you can get resources. You can build tourism. You can build
On the moon?
tourism
If
to the
they're
moon.
wanting to get
No,
ice
tourism
from,
I get, but
yeah.
no, they're wanting to bring back ice from the moon.
Yeah,
if they want
there
to
were
bring back
resources.
ice
They're gonna
to help us with our water resource, they're gonna try and colonize.
So absolutely, because if they can extract water from there, they can potentially grow something there. I mean, obviously not on the surface. I mean, clearly they're going to have some sort of, a very
is there
total
frozen
recall,
water on the moon?
Total recall
There's
style.
ice.
There's ice.
It's frozen water.
Yeah. So yeah. But there's ice. But it's also a hey, we're trying to do all of these mining. These bright ideas about mining on asteroids and potentially getting to other planets. The moon is a logical step to experiment on. I mean, you have to be able to transport equipment. You have to be able to build equipment in space. You have to be able to. I mean, establish an outpost there would make
Right.
sense for us to do further our reach into space. Right. I mean,
Yeah, it makes total sense.
You puddle jump before you jump over
Right.
the ocean. So, I mean, this is the first step in that. And companies,
And you think the whole thing is going to get kiboshed?
I mean, that's my gut feeling. That's my conspiracy. But I
Right.
mean, I'm on a limb. I mean, this is a full court shot right now. So, yeah,
Hang
I
out
get
on the
it.
limb. Are we going to do basketball
Yeah, we're
puns?
going to do basketball.
Oh, I
puns.
love you, man.
Can't make me tumble you all day. But,
So why do you think it's going to be kiboshed?
oh, just because I'm a pessimist. That's my only, I don't have any logical reason for
Oh,
this. Just because,
Government sucks.
no.
Trust no one.
No, it's fine. But that's just me being a
I mean, I definitely agree with
because
both sides.
look at how our election is controlled. Do you think space is going to be free? I mean, do you think we're going to?
I'm not going to compare our
Yeah, yeah.
election
You
to the
can go
moon.
far enough.
That's what I'm not
just
gonna
what
do.
saying. I think Elon Musk and guys like that are actually. I mean, Elon Musk specifically, I think is pretty cool. I think he's got great intentions. I think that
He's gonna be the first one.
Yeah, if they get to
that's it.
yeah, I mean, I think
He's got
so.
the most money and the most smartest
Well,
guy.
at the end of the day, I think
We'll
the other
see.
perspective here is I
There's more than
agree
that
with
that goes
both of
into
you
it.
when you say that the moon would definitely be a stepping stone to getting further into space, furthering our ability then to get to Mars and other places and go further and further and further. That makes complete sense. But I think the other part of this is regardless of what happens with the moon or potentially colonizing it, whether it's a private corporation or whether it's a government, if people are doing it, somebody's going to find a way to exploit it regardless. I mean, that I could definitely agree with.
Oh yeah, and I'm on the case. I'm watching this.
All right, Mike, what do you got for news?
All right, hold on. Let me grab my
Detective
resource.
Mike.
You're crazy, man. You're crazy.
Okay, so news. Okay, so Cuba. Cuba in the news in the last few months. We're cool with Cuba now. I am hoping that we get to do a little investigation into this Cuban underwater city, which for all those out there, there's not really a name for this city.
Isn't it called Atlantis?
No.
Okay.
It is. I mean, it could be. I don't know. I don't know that much about it because not that much is known, except that it seems to. I mean, there's National Geographic investigated it. You have pretty reputable people who have well established that there's a megalithic site. Off of the. I'm gonna super butcher this, so I'm sorry out there for all you Cubans who are listening to this. Guanahacabibis Peninsula in the Pinar del Rio province
That
of
was
Cuba.
a murder.
That
It was a
sounds
massacre.
I don't know. It
I
sounded
know.
pretty legit to me.
Guanahacabibis Peninsula.
Oh my God.
One more
All
time.
right.
Everyone hates
Guanahacabibis.
you.
I know.
You're
I'm
getting
sorry.
good.
Just repeating the same thing.
It's so in anyway. So there's symmetrical geometric shapes. There's seems to be pyramidal structures. There's been sonar done on it twice. Both times found anomalies. Now here's the
Found anomalies in what?
There's structures on the ocean floor off of the coast of Cuba that should not be there based on time. So they're about 750 meters deep under the water. So I mean that puts it at a time period well before Mayans, well before Aztecs.
Okay.
Where I mean anybody who's around in Peru that we know of. So I mean it's odd. So right now, about 2002 is the last time anyone did a real thorough investigation, because it was hard because Cuba was probably not real into us messing around off their coast. There's a chance now that we might be able to go in and actually investigate in there because this is pretty substantial. I mean, we're talking thousands of years ago. I mean, I don't even know how far back because I'm not that versed on it, but it's
Right.
but it's a lot further back. I mean, even so much to where it seems like this could be the legends that you had, the Mayans talk about, and all the people who live in the Yucatan Valley talk about earlier settlers that come from an island normally, and that got submerged and swallowed by the sea. So, I mean, by waves. So you could be right. It could be Atlantis. It's possible, but I don't know because
I'm right.
Atlantis is traditionally described other places, but I mean, who knows?
Right.
But that's tradition and that means nothing. So, so I'm really excited. So
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just kind of popping back up in the news here a little bit. So I had read about that when I was in college doing geology, and I thought that was pretty cool back then.
Yeah, anytime I ever read any news at all about new societies being found or new cities, whether it's underwater or just in a jungle that we've never explored before,
Well,
it's
think
always
about-
fascinating.
Think about the amount of water that we have not even explored yet. That we have no idea.
I think the last it may just be a platitude, but I think the last thing I heard is we've only explored something. What is it like? 10%
Oh,
of,
not even, I don't
of
think.
our
Yeah, I
mean-
own oceans. We
Yeah.
actually know more about our surrounding solar system than we do
Oh
our
yeah,
own ocean.
definitely.
It's probably very.
We definitely know a lot more about space than we do our own oceans.
It's probably very similar to the to the amount of searchable internet there is. I mean, it's pretty, or I mean that what most people actually look through. There is. I mean, it's pretty incredible. That's what I was saying earlier when I was alluding to that. I mean, extraterrestrials possibility, but I mean, I think some weird race that lives in that advanced race that lives at the bottom of the ocean and flies out
Abyss.
of it is just as plausible to me.
Did you ever see The Abyss?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about science or facts when I think about this stuff. So I
just want to know who directed it.
So I generally think that it's just as plausible that it could come from the depths of the ocean because I don't know. We don't know what's down there.
I'd agree with that.
There's all kinds of crap that comes up and they're like, oh, this is huge and weird. I didn't know this was a thing. Oh, it's an animal now.
I would think the probability of terrestrial aliens makes more sense than extraterrestrial.
Right, and that's like where you get all these rumors that they're involved with like politics. I'm like, why the hell would anyone travel from the Pleiades to give a crap that some reptilian is both of our presidential candidates?
Right, and not to quote Star Trek, but what does God need with the spaceship?
Yeah, who gives a shit?
Right.
Like, they'd be like, let those guys kill themselves. They're
Right.
done. They can't tell they're getting fucked. Oh, well. But, yeah, no,
Nice.
so it makes sense to me that they'd come from here. They're like, well, I don't want these assholes destroying the world with nuclear weapons. Holy shit. Like, we got to live on this planet, too.
Right.
And that's where, like, I mean, I get called crazy for even, bringing up the theory of a hollow Earth, but I'm not suggesting that the physics are plausible or whatever because I don't know. But to me, just from like a motive standpoint, that seems the most plausible. Like I don't know, like there's like come up out of the ocean tunnels maybe. I don't know. Never know. Why would
It's
they give? Why
possible,
would they
yeah.
give a shit so much? Like why care? I mean, if no one lives close enough, I mean that we know of, that we can see out there, assuming that the people who look through our telescopes are telling us the truth, they see nothing out there in any direction.
Right. If you're talking about
So when
intelligent,
we're doing things on this planet, why would anyone care?
Right.
Unless they were going to come here and kick the shit out of us.
right. So I mean, to me, and that's where, and not to get too off topic with
Yeah,
it,
but then they would have just done that. But this is
Right.
kind of the topic, though. This is
Okay,
kind of the
fair
topic
enough. So
because
that's-
this is like a
Right.
natural
so
segue
this
into
has
our
always
main discussion.
this has always
here.
been my crux with the idea of extraterrestrials that intervene with human life in whatever capacity you're learning about or hearing about or reading about.
Okay, well, here you're right. You're right. Hold on, real quick. Let's just we should actually say this is the next segment now.
Okay. fair
Because
enough.
that's that. Because and then you can start that topic.
Were you done with your last segment?
I was. That's the best news I had because that's good. That's good news. I mean, this is.
That's really cool.
You got.
It's a big discovery.
But you have like everyone's like, well, I don't see it in the National Geographic. Where's there Göbekli Tepe? And I'm like, well, there it is in the National Geographic. But I mean, but this is one of those. This is one of those topics where I'm like, you can go look there. Oh, you think the National? You
Right,
think
it's somewhere you can
Murdoch's
actually
telling you
go.
the truth. Then good.
Right.
Here's National Geographic. Do you believe that there?
Right.
And they're telling you, yeah, it doesn't make sense. I don't know why it's there. And they're
Okay.
like, yeah.
Well, before we get into our main topic, let's take a break and
Okay.
introduce our first song of the day.
In honor of Tom DeLonge.
In honor of Tom DeLonge and his band that he works on, Angels and Airwaves, this song is based on his new book, which is called Secret Machines, Chasing Shadows, which is the first installment of 3, and the song's called Chasing Shadows.
18 in a wicker basket, red cape in an open casket, tied up to a broken lever. If I move, it hurts forever. I am not that host, but I want her. Wolf in a winter playground, white snow to let the red out. I hear that alarms are better than a warning like a feather. I don't like my tone, but I want her. So here I am, I'm falling to my knees. I sleep, I can't forget it. Moonrise, I'm now committed. Your move, cause I am tethered. Like a slave, I don't know better. I listen for your words. Yeah, I want her. Lost boys in a haunted forest. Bright things in the maze before us. My life has now been severed. I can't bear to remember who I was before the day I met her. So here I am. I'm falling to my knees. I'm digging out the shadows of a ghost. When you come around. So here I am. I'm waiting for the tears. I'm sleeping in the couch that I chose. When you come around. So here I am. I'm falling to my knees. I'm digging out the shadows of a ghost. When you come around. So here I am. I'm waiting for the tears. I'm sleeping in the couch that I chose. When you come around. So here I am. I'm falling to my knees. I'm digging out the shadows of a ghost. When you come around. So here I am. I'm waiting for the tears. I'm sleeping in the couch that I chose. When you come around.
Okay, so big topic of the day. So we're gonna do a versus battle here. We got in one corner we got Tom DeLonge, Blink 182, Angels and Airwaves, big celebrity. You got Dr. Stephen Greer, emergency room doctor, credible for decades, worked for presidents, or worked with presidents on the topic of disclosure. Has gotten some pretty amazing people to testify on camera, agree to sign affidavits that seem to be verifiable, that they served in the levels of intelligence in the military that they say they did, say that they have interacted with alien craft. Tom DeLonge's not denying any of this, but he's saying that there's different motives, I should say. He's suggesting that there's a different motive. Stephen Greer is very of the idea that the government, both are of the understanding that the government has reverse engineered alien technology, absolutely has, is
More
flying
than that,
flying it around.
0 point energy.
Yeah, 0 point energy, even invisibility, cloaking methods. I mean, space programs that are beyond our
Secret
wildest
space,
conceptions. So no one's really arguing that. It's really the motives. Tom DeLonge is suggesting I would say only recently, or particularly recently, maybe not only, but particularly recently, that the government is trying to help us in some sort of, I don't want to use not really like independence, but kind of like an Independence Day scenario where the problems where
It's a complete
humanity's getting kicked in the
Independence
dick
Day
by
scenario.
aliens. Yeah, humanity's been getting kicked in the dick by aliens for years, and the government's trying to help us out. They're trying to save us from it.
That would be different.
So yeah, and Stephen Greer is suggesting that they're coming here in peace, and they're here
Or
for
at least
enlightenment.
there are peaceful
They're at least-
civilizations
right.
contact.
Right, and I don't know if that Tom DeLonge is saying that so much, that there isn't so much. He's just very, very animated on the fact that the government is helping, where I think Stephen Greer is saying more the government's probably more on the problem end of this.
Right.
Yeah, or yeah.
I mean, I want to talk about, how Tom got started, into this field and how he got his credentials,
Sure, his
how he got
perspective
his
is important.
information. I mean, he started out with Stephen Greer. He met with him a couple of times. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, like I know that he, in the beginning, he was,
Almost like a
he
mentor,
followed
right?
yeah,
Stephen Greer.
it
followed
felt
him
that
a
way,
lot,
and
yeah.
I mean, I'm gathering that from interviews that I've read and listened to, and he's been pretty good about talking about this stuff too.
Right.
So it's, and then I'm reading his book right now, Secret Machines, which is a work of fiction, but it's centered around, apparent real information that he's been getting from sources.
Well,
But
his whole project with not just Secret Machines, but To the Stars, his new production company.
Right.
Or,
Everything's centered
everything
around.
Everything is science fiction, but centered around something that is true, something that he is learning from his advisors, that he's been able to. He says that he has these 10 advisors that were appointed to him from the highest levels of the government. And the way he got that is by talking about how he wants to remove this cynicism that the youth culture, obviously the millennial culture that follow him, to change their views on the government. So, of course, the government is going to be like, okay, well, we know that the youth are listening to him already.
Right, because
why not give him...
We got to convince them that we're doing good so these kids don't kill us when we're old.
Yeah, right. But I mean, he even says that he doesn't even know why he said that. He just said that because he knew that that's what they wanted to hear. And, even on Coast to Coast, and he talks about that, and he talks about Stephen Greer, but he doesn't mention his name, but he talks about the experiment he did with CE5, and that was, the conversation that I called in to talk to him
that was
about,
amazing.
because as soon as I knew that he was talking about CE5, like, I wanted to know, his relationship with Stephen Greer, and whether he even going through his advisors and learning everything he's learned, which we should also talk about after this. But I wanted to know if he's still following Stephen Greer, and I feel like he believes it, but he is getting fed this other information that he has to put out there.
Well, so yeah, here I'm gonna read.
He has to make them happy.
So Tom DeLonge, at one point, Stephen Greer and him are hanging out. They're exchanging information. I believe Tom DeLonge was even one of the first people, or maybe even the first person, who got to see the edited clips of all of the disclosure
Tom
interviews.
flew him when he was on tour with Blink-182.
Yeah, so they had a really tight relationship.
He exchanged videos with him saying, "Hey, this is what I have. Let's go camping by Area 51 and do this experiment." Like,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were definitely tight. So. I mean, he did see 5 experiments. I know that he said in a couple interviews that he definitely, and I don't think he's saying it didn't happen now, but that he had at least 3 experiences where he'd interacted with the protocols, and they seemed to achieve some results. He was talking about looking at it through his night vision goggles, and how much more he could see. So he definitely was a fan of Stephen Greer for a long time, but now, he got, I think, here, I'm just going to read what he wrote in his book. Okay,
Right. In the forward,
here's
right?
in the forward of his book. I'm just going to read this highlighted
DeLonge.
part here. This is the setup is when he doesn't name the department in his book here, but he gets essentially a family friend gets him works for a big government contractor who I assume that it's banana. Aw. Who I assume, it's kind of assumed that it's Lockheed Martin, particularly Skunk Works division, an engineer there who essentially, he gets a meeting with him, and so he says this here during his meeting. He said, "When the meeting came, I took the bull by the horns, and I pitched him an idea, mostly about a benign idea I had for a project that could help the youth lose their cynical views of the government and Department of Defense. In many ways, Secret Machines was just that, and a few other things as well." I mean, he basically is saying here, I said this to be a cheerleader for the government.
Right.
So, I mean,
because he knows, he's smart. He knew that first meeting, not to ever bring up the UFO term, not to talk about it.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, this was more to, the government is painted in a real bad light right now. I mean, besides blatant corruption running through politics, and now everyone's seeing it.
Besides all that,
you have. I mean, the most popular TV shows are always the government's the bad guy lately. You have like the X-Files that Stranger Things. The government is getting some real negative press lately. So, I mean, it makes sense that maybe Tom could get fed some information if he just plays ball a little bit.
Right.
And I mean, at least for me, because when you reference something like Mirage Men, the Netflix has it on there. It's a documentary where you have just...
Oh, we were watching that the other night.
You just have rampant disinformation flying back and forth between absolutely verifiable government agents and members of the press where they got nuggets of truth, and then some of that truth was never disputed, but they got a bunch of garbage too, and then were later just discredited in the media. And Linda Moulton Howe took a beating with that. She bit pretty hard, and she got burned real bad. I just wonder if this is going to be the same kind of thing for Tom DeLonge.
Right, and Stephen Greer talks about the same thing in his interview with Carol Rosen, where he says that he's saddened that Tom went this way because he thinks that he's part of the unacknowledged, which is Stephen Greer's next project, the unacknowledged project that the government has to actually send out disinformation using events, 9/11, and as well as public figures as well as Independence Day. I don't know if everyone's seen the new trailers that were part of the new Independence Day movie, which were also with the U.S. Army, that showed recruitment.
It did look like
for every military as well as space for an interstellar war, and they promoted every military as well as the movie. It's just part of this project that the government has to use every type of media and spokesperson that they can use. And Stephen Greer even said it, that he thinks very well that Tom is in that net. He's part of that, and he's being fed these lies, basically.
Oh, I mean, that's at least surface level what it looks like to me. But I mean, let's explore this a little bit. Like, I mean, Stephen Greer, on the other hand, which we talked a little bit about last time, is very of the, you're communicating with these beings that we're not even sure if they're physical at this point. They're just...
and he says that some of them aren't.
Yeah, and
some of them really are.
And you're communicating them through meditation, basically. So we're talking about enlightened beings coming here for some sort of reason of enlightenment, or at least, peace, versus coming and annihilating the human race. I mean...
And just to be clear, if I can ask, so
yeah.
Has he actually stated that he's communicated with these, whether they're physical or whether or not they're in UFOs, put all that aside, has he actively said... Yes, through the CE5 method, I have talked to these beings. I communicate with them. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Through that conscious, meditative state, they're able to not only chime them in, but actually, it's almost like astral projection. They're able to see them and actually communicate and hear them.
Has he ever talked or... disclosed, for that matter, the content of those communications.
Have you ever seen his documentary Sirius? It's
No.
on Netflix right now.
No.
It's amazing. And yeah, he talks about how he will talk to these beings, making just
Well, right. I
letting
get
them
that he-
know
that he-
that we're in peace.
What do
We
they
just-
say to him?
Different
Well,
things.
so I think it's shown
know?
more with action. So here's
It's definitely more with
well,
action.
because here I think one that you have the issue here that you have a this is the equivalent of like a cockroach, us talking to a cockroach or something. You're trying to communicate with it.
It's like a wave
So-
of a
right,
hand,
right.
and that's it.
This is
basically.
something that's much more advanced than us trying to
Right.
communicate
I'm
with us.
sure they're not telling them how to program TiVo or anything.
Right.
But like,
So I think, but here's something to know. So like you have like Robert Salas, I believe, who was stationed in New Mexico. Or I don't want to say it was New Mexico at an Air Force base that had nuclear missiles, and he is one of the people that is interviewed in Stephen Greer's tapes, the interview tapes that Tom DeLonge like initially got a hold of, back when they were super tight,
Right.
like the big
And it's
the big
part of the.
disclosure project
It's
that
like over 100 hours. Of
it's insane.
interviews.
But
Yeah.
anyway, Robert Salas is one of these guys that says, this thing came down and disabled their nuclear weapons. So I think that it's the same kind of. And there's been a bunch of reports about that these things just kind of hover over and it's like a show, like, hey, this isn't what you should be doing.
Well,
Knock
like,
this
and
up.
it talks about in Russia.
Yeah.
How there are heroes in Russia because they didn't fire back because the extraterrestrials turned on the nuclear warheads and
Yeah.
they didn't do anything. They thought it was us.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it seems like there's a message of peace, or it could be a message like, oh, we're better than you. Don't try to fight.
Right.
But to me, it seems like a more of a message of peace,
so just if I can frame all this right,
and versus
definitely
the polar
being,
opposite.
being the layman of the group when it comes to this topic. So you've got Stephen Greer on one side, who there's no dispute about the existence of extraterrestrial beings, just what they might be. There's no
Correct.
argument about their direct involvement with mankind on some level. One is simply saying, I can communicate with these beings through this method. They're peaceful. We want to be part of this society. This is how we go about doing that. And you have one guy who says they want to kill us all, and our wonderful government has been working tirelessly to save us from them.
Yes,
Well,
absolutely.
I mean, not necessarily kill us
No,
all,
I-
but
you
they
know,
definitely want to manipulate
Yeah, and here
us.
I don't. Right.
Well, that
They
was
definitely,
sarcasm, but
want our resources. And his argument is saying that the government has been working for years to, build this technology to fight them, to protect us.
Right. And so I don't think, and they may not even necessarily be disagreeing. I don't necessarily think that Tom DeLonge disagrees with, even now, with what Stephen Greer is saying. He's just saying also there's this other race that's wants to kill us.
Exactly.
And Stephen Greer either really doesn't touch on that, because ultimately his perspective is the government is an obstacle in disclosure. And Tom DeLonge saying, no, guys,
Distraction.
chill out.
Yeah.
They got it under control. Let's just do it this way. And painting them in a positive light. It's almost like,
But regardless, on Tom's side, there are extraterrestrial beings of some sort that mean us harm.
Yeah, possibly. But it's more the argument of what's the government's role in this, because it's kind of like this. This is where I'm saying it looks like disclosure to my perspective. With all of this, it looks like disclosure's coming. And it's probably,
Or a
again,
faux disclosure.
Yeah, and it's probably because people say this all the time, and I know that's sensationalism, sure. But for me, just my layman's perspective of some dude who's just making a podcast, to me, it feels like disclosure's coming. You have the space travel that's happening. You have the possibility that somebody's going to see something that we don't want, that somebody doesn't want them to see, and start asking too many questions. So we're gonna have to tell people. So do we want to tell people, Yeah, we've been totally screwing you guys over with all these sweet alternative energies that we've been keeping while the world's been crumbling into a polluted mess.
The government's defense.
Well, we've been protecting you guys, so we had to do this. I'm sorry.
We had to keep it secret because we're protecting you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think it's more of that, and so when you get into this, like when you learn in school that the North just wanted to free slaves, there was definitely no corporate interest for going down into the
Right.
South and getting into new industries, and that's why people funded the war effort, so that everyone just wanted to free slaves. Yeah, no, I'm sure there were people that wanted to free slaves, but there's also some weird
Right.
nefarious shit with everything. So the Tom DeLonge angle is there's no weird nefarious shit, guys. I mean, it's cool. They're all good now.
Yeah, I don't buy
And
it.
you have to
So,
think
yeah,
about
I don't buy it
Stephen
either.
Greer's credentials. He's been the UFO advisor for Bill Clinton and Obama, as well as worked and kicked out of NASA, SETI,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah,
like,
and
which caused him to create CSETI,
so right, and
I just feel like if he's even closely remotely acknowledged to the actual truth, I feel like he has more of the truth than Tom. I mean, he's new at this. He's got the credentials because he's got these advisors, but these are the same advisors that Stephen Greer is saying is lying.
yeah, right. So exactly, and it's
That he
really
knows
comes down
from
to
fact.
who's yeah.
See, and for someone like me, this is where I,
I'm
just
sure-
being honest, this is where I
Yeah.
get stuck. Because at the end of the day, what you're talking about is just an appeal to an authority. Sure, he worked for the president. On Tom's side, sure, he has a lot of people inside the government that he may talk to, or books that he reads, or references that the normal person can't get. That's still appealing to an authority, where at the end of the day, my question becomes, regardless of which side of the fence you sit on, what actual tangible evidence do you have to back up your point of view? That would be my question. Like if it were a courtroom and I had Tom on one side and Greer on the other, like that would be my question. Not necessarily how long have you been doing this or how long have you been doing this. What do you actually have to show that what you're saying holds any merit?
Oh no, this is just who I believe. Oh, I have no idea who's telling the truth. I'm going off of guts. So for me, just my perspective of how I just it's people. Here's motives here. I always work in motives.
Right.
So I look at this as what if what's flying around out there, and I've seen stuff, driving,
Right.
and it looks incredible. If that thing flying over the horizon is ours, I think that at this point, yes, I believe in capitalism, I guess. I mean, I'm a hipster, so
Right.
I'll fucking admit it. But so I'm on those bandwagons where I'm like, yeah, I want free healthcare and all this stuff. But I'm like, yeah, also I am a touring musician, so I understand, intellectual properties and stuff. But at the same point, the world is like literally. My perspective is the world is on fire right now, and we need to put out some big ones. And if we have the technology,
We have the technology.
some
That's
asshole is going to keep it because that's just generally how the world's
Well, yeah,
working right
people
now.
are
See, and
shitty
this
though.
is-
I mean,
people are just shitty.
This goes back to the moon travel
right.
conversation. Whether it's a
Right.
private company or the government, if people are doing it, somebody's going to find a way to
Exactly. So
exploit
that's-
it.
This
so
is why
that's
I
why.
follow Stephen Greer. This is why I am on Stephen Greer's side, because right now, especially with his new project, he is working to get that technology out because he has seen it. He's
Yeah.
seen it, and the people that have created the 0 point energy technology, they've all been, it's been taken from them, or something's happened,
Right, but
so at least with his next project, he is making sure that it gets out there, and his next documentary and book are going to be all funded to actually create that 0 point energy incubator to show that this can happen, this is real, and and
Right,
we have
well-
it. We have this energy.
There seems to be reasonable, people who are obviously scientists who are posting their own videos of them recreating some of this stuff. That I mean, honestly, some of it seems completely legitimate, and
It
the
is
sources,
completely
and the sources who
But,
are doing it. So,
but even before you get to,
but he's
it's
getting
not something that can be theorized. It's science.
But
it either works or it doesn't.
So if he's getting that information from a source, so if Stephen Greer is getting that information from some clandestine source, then he is getting some real stuff. So he also, I'll just put this out there to be the devil's advocate, could also be getting fed a lot of crap too. But granted, the difference between Tom DeLonge's argument and Stephen Greer's argument is that Stephen Greer has all his people on camera. So he has
Exactly.
he has thousands of people behind him that are willing to go on camera. Where Tom DeLonge has advisors that aren't saying who they are.
Right. I would go so far to say, though, that neither one of them are being dishonest.
I don't think so either.
Because
Yeah.
regardless
I think they have
of
the
what
best intentions, both of
information
them.
you're passing along or that you've acquired that you're passing to other people, being honest has nothing to do against being right.
I definitely believe both of their intentions are 100%
yeah.
true.
No,
I
they're
definitely
great-
don't
they
think
both seem like great
Tom
dudes.
would leave, and this is what I wrote about in my blog on exophilia.com on why Blink-182 left, or why Tom left Blink-182. He would not give something so, I mean, since 1992 they've been together. They've, been one of the most influential bands of our entire generation. He would not leave that for something that isn't something that he knows is bigger than anything he can comprehend.
No, yeah, I mean he like
he
any
wouldn't
of us.
put information out there that he doesn't feel is real.
Well,
for
both of
something
them sound and seem like men on some sort of crusade. I mean, for sure.
Oh, absolutely, and they both have the disclosure in mind, and I mean, both of them are saying like, yes, the America,
wanna get the word out there.
we need to get alternative energy out now. We need changes with how we deal with food and deal with industry and deal. I mean, it needs to happen now.
Well, the military.
Well, the one
alone,
thing,
too.
if I can go on a small
So
tangent,
both of them
like-
are agreeing. To,
right.
to
The
those types
one
of
thing
things,
that
so that's great.
If I had to choose a side, like you said, which one would I believe? I would definitely go with, I think, Greer, hands down.
Yeah.
Only on the simple basis, and this is where I kind of have to bring it back down a little bit. When you start talking, if you're going to reference beings, just for the sake of argument, that are capable of interstellar travel or interdimensional travel,
Sure.
just on a premise, there are a lot of other assumptions that have to come with that. So when you talk about the Independence Day scenario on that, it makes zero sense, and we've talked about this before.
Because they just come and wipe us out. Why would they mess around so long?
There's nothing that we
Unless
could
we're creating that war for a distraction so that the government can be like, hey guys, look at what we're telling you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't
we're
buy
the
it.
heroes, remember.
Right.
You got to rely on us.
Right. Which to me, I mean,
either they would come and just take what they needed, or it's a distraction.
See, I can get crazier with it. All right, look at this. I'm gonna go.
I have no doubt.
Oh man. Okay. So look at it like this. All right. So we'll get into my Rome never died and it just came to America conversation some other time, but essentially, you have Western values that built this country based on Christianity. It's still rooted in people. The fear of God is still just barely rooted into people, just enough to where you could make this look like a biblical end time scenario painted as
You can make anything look like a biblical end time scenario.
100%, and that's why wouldn't you? It's Occam's razor.
That's why we've had like
wouldn't you?
15 of them since 2000, but none of them have happened.
So but I'm saying but we're talking about the hypothetical reality that this is happening. Okay, so I'm saying in the hypothetical world that this is happening.
Disclosure.
Which in the dimension we've created where this is a thing that's happening, I could see people being shitty. So let's say if you have the technology if we have the technology to get out of our atmosphere at in a second, like the little orbs that you see fly around that I've seen like tumble over the desert in the middle of the night, when I look up at that, I mean, you're right, other implications. We must be capable of insane things.
Right.
I'm sure we're capable of being invisible or some sort of hologram or something. So who's to say?
If our mind is evolved enough.
No, I'm saying if our government has this stuff.
The technology make things invisible already
Oh, yeah,
exist.
yeah,
It's
no,
just
I know.
Cameras
But-
on one side projecting a picture on the other, so
Absolutely,
creating a negative
but I'm
space.
saying in the spot where you could do something real useful with it, like put it on a plane or something, or,
Right.
or put it on like a
tank.
a tank that you could get right up next to or something. So we're saying we live in that hypothetical dimension. So what if people being shitty people?
Right.
What if you have the Stephen Greer's kind of scenario being painted as like those are angels. That's the angels. We're gonna follow that. And Tom DeLonge's being we're fighting the demons over here. This is like hell coming. This is Revelations and shit. This is hell
Right.
opening up.
But Tom doesn't just
we're both
believe
feeding
that,
these guys
though.
disinformation, and we're gonna create an end of the world apocalyptic scenario where we're gonna like show Jesus in the sky and make everybody repent, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, we were the New World Order guys. Guess what? We're all living under one rule, so we can appease God that just popped up.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just saying that to me sounds just as plausible as anything else. Because if you're talking about interdimensional travel and stuff, then you're assuming that we have that capability too. And if people have that capability, they're going to be shitty.
Yeah, without a doubt.
That was on a limb. I mean, none
Right.
of that stuff. I'm just posing extreme hypotheticals and.
Well, I mean, you look at any basic human technology that has been created. I mean, how long was that technology held on before it became mainstream? How long did they have
100%.
touchscreens for cell phones before that actually became mainstream? How long did they have cell phones before people started getting cell phones at an affordable cost?
Oh, absolutely. Well, then
this is not a new concept where technologies are created or discovered or breakthroughs are created and discovered.
We've had this for decades.
Yeah, I've worked for tech companies that have had we'll say internally that they've had stuff for like a decade, 15 years, and then they say it took $1 billion to invest this, and then you go like, oh well, we have holes in our black budgets for trillions of dollars, and then you're, oh my God, what can you do with trillions of dollars in development? I mean,
Right.
you could be.
Right.
I mean, if we live in a world where money apparently is. Will
no
get
object.
you everything. So with money you can be God basically with enough. Then I mean, who's to say someone's not trying to create God with enough money? I mean, not real in the sense, but I mean that's happened repeatedly through history where people have tried to rise to the power to become godlike emperors. In ancient
absolutely.
times, all the way through all through European history. You have kings that try to act like deities basically, so why do people think we're above that?
Well, at the end of the, I would say they're wrong. I mean, at the end of the day, power only exists because one person can exert it over other people. Without other people there, you have no power.
Sure, I'm making drastic metaphors to suggest that these people that might run these defense contract companies that just suck in this enormous amount of money over decades over these Black Ops projects, which no one is denying exist. I mean, no one's denying that the stealth bombers took X amount of time to develop and X amount of money to do. We can see the holes well after the fact and then go, oh, that's what all that money was for. But realistically, these companies are getting outrageous amounts of money in R&D for so many years. They're the ones who are holding the keys to what's really possible. It's not some president that's in there for 4 years and then out. They're not going to tell that guy anything. It's all the people who work under him who are just contracted in and don't really have to answer to anybody except congressional committees that you can easily grease wheels with lobbyists or just by
Right, and I think that to a certain extent that's
hooker
always
rings and stuff.
That's kind of stuff is always going to exist no matter what. But I think there is another element that kind of just gets jumped over when people start talking about simple concepts of government. Like the government is a thing or an entity in of its own. The government is people.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, at the end of the day, the government is not a
And that's
thing.
why it
It
makes
is a
sense that
thing made
there's-
of people. And so, yeah, there are always going to be people there to exploit. But the other thing that people, I think, tend to glaze over because they don't want to think about it is, are there always going to be certain technologies or secrets that are necessary to keep from the public? Of course there are. For absolutely
But that goes
brilliant
back
and
to
good
intellectual
reasons.
property again, because that's just basics of capitalism too. If you discover the cure for something that's really important, you're going to try to make some money off of it because that's just how the world works. But my point is to make it accessible for people still.
Yes.
Right, but
And
the-
that's the
Which
good
is
that will
what
probably
Stephen
come
Greer
out
is
of
trying to
Right,
do.
right.
And honestly,
So-
Tom DeLonge seems like he is too. So that's
Right.
the good that
But-
can come out of either
If
situation.
Tom DeLonge's trying to do that, he's not going to get very far with everyone that is allowing him to even put out the information. Is
Oh yeah,
in
because
the
they're
government.
allowing him to put out it's the information they want. Where Stephen
Exactly.
Greer's more trying
Stephen
to
Greer
just
is doing it
solicit
on his
information.
own.
Yeah, he's
risking his life.
he's sleuthing
you know?
it. Yeah. Right. So, and that's why I think it's just, it seems obvious that Tom DeLonge would be that, I mean, he seems like he would be the easier one to manipulate straight off. I mean, you'd have to manipulate at this point thousands of people under Stephen Greer's.
Well, I mean, the simple part there is what you're talking about is one man seeking truths of his own merit and one man being given truths by another party.
Right. But, I mean, so I hope that's not the case because, I mean, you saw, I read about Linda Moulton Howe and I've read interviews about her talking to that. I mean, I know that was devastating to her career and really, and she's obviously bounced back and done amazing things. Right. But I know that was
she was even on Coast to Coast lately talking about Tom as well. 'Cause she interviewed Tom.
Yeah.
And she didn't say too much about her opinion, but she definitely talked about it and, showed some concern,
Yeah, but
So
more importantly, it
where-
shows the
so-
government will admit to telling you some truth sometimes about really weird topics. Because technically, Linda Moulton Howe, I mean, scored a huge victory because she got them to come out and say, like, yeah, we do this. We don't want MUFON to have the the resources that it was pooling, so we went in and tried to break it up. And this could be what Tom DeLonge is doing too. Maybe he got too close. Maybe he even says openly that, he was talking about some sort of the gravitational cancellation system or something on how these vehicles work. He was telling, his friend who works for this company, and he was like, hey, shut your mouth or, they're going to get you. So, I mean, this honestly could be, hey, we don't want to kill you, so we're gonna tell you.
Well,
this
I think
so,
at the core of this, what we're really talking about is reliability of sources.
Yes.
I mean, you're
and
talking.
I think honestly, Stephen Greer's had a lot more death threats than Tom DeLonge at this point.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, normally that means you're doing something right, then, right?
Exactly. I mean, he's gone through where every person that worked, especially the three main people that worked with him on the Beginning Disclosure Project, all died from cancer. And he had cancer, and he was the only one that survived.
Pretty notable. That's real.
They all mysteriously just got cancer.
What if Stephen Greer's an alien? And
So let me ask you both.
How old is he? And he looks that good.
He looks incredible. That's what I'm saying.
So let me ask you both a question. Then I'm going to interview for a second.
That's why he survived cancer.
You both, I think, seem to agree that Greer is the more reliable source.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, me being a lifelong Blink-182 fan,
that is preposterous.
I mean, I have to. Hey. I am a girl of the pop punk.
I've been a fan of blowjobs forever, and I'm not going to vote for Hillary Clinton. Sorry. That doesn't even make sense.
It at least
vote for Monica.
gave me, it at least, put me in that position that, I am part of that crowd.
Sorry. That was a really
Sorry, go ahead.
That was a horrible joke.
It at least gave me, put me in that position where I'm part of that demographic that, these people are aiming for him to, either inform or manipulate, or disinform, so it really got me concerned and interested, to know exactly what his point of view is. But honestly, listen to him and knowing, how much he's putting into this, knowing that he would not put this much into it if he felt this was not true. Like that's what really interests me the most is I've been following Dr. Greer for the past 4 years. I mean, he literally changed my life. He changed my point of view and everything, you know? And, having, Tom come
I don't think there's any question about intention at all. I think...
No, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that, it's... I mean, I obviously will always follow Greer, but, Tom definitely brings in some good points that definitely made me question is he
so and that's actually
is this real?
Very poignant to my question. So you have Greer, so now put the intention aside, where you have Greer who says there are no spacecraft, there's no tangible technology.
Oh no, he does not say that.
No, he doesn't say that.
He doesn't say that.
No, he says it's really just how the government's going to be painted when this is all over.
No, he definitely knows that there are spacecraft.
Yeah, they're almost identical with everything else they're saying.
Yeah.
It's just Tom DeLonge is saying they're good guys. Don't worry. And Stephen Greer saying, no, the shit flying around in the sky is probably good. Like the stuff I'm communicating with and showing you how to communicate
But
with is
Stephen Greer also believes that a lot of it could be the government.
Yeah,
too.
and some of this other crap is just and who knows, wouldn't that be messed up if you're out there shining your light, and because we did our experiment, and we'll do a full recap some other time, but as we do a few more,
we're gonna do a couple more.
We got some stuff that I would say was interesting. That was notable, and it would be sad for me in that moment where I felt so amazed that there was actually the potential for something communicating back with me. If it was just
some dude named Doug behind it
with a laser
with a flashlight out the window,
pointing out the window of like a helicopter. He's like, hey,
look at this dick.
Realistically,
I was having a
really
spiritual experience.
Realistically, I really believe Stephen Greer's theory. So to me, it seems really logical to if there are. I mean, I believe that there are hundreds and types of civilization. Some hostile, some mean, some that want that have different intentions. But I also believe that there might even be more of those positive energies, positive intelligences.
So here's where my question definitely has to come in, and I apologize for cutting you off. But my most poignant question to a statement like that is why?
What do you mean why?
Why do you believe that?
Because the logic of how many planets... I mean, okay, we all know No Man's Sky.
You're just saying...
The amount of planets that are in No Man's Sky...
You're just saying, statistically speaking...
is not even one, like, a millionth
percent
of what is really
There's no
out
wrong
there.
answer.
No,
I'm just
but
curious.
I hear it. So she's saying almost the same thing as you said earlier when you said, "Oh, I believe in just because they're the statistics of biology."
Any type of civilization that could ever exist, or any type of intelligence, energy that can exist, does exist.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's she's just saying her universe is even bigger. Where if you're saying the universe is big enough for biology, at some point she's saying it's definitely big enough for that, but
it's
also
big enough for everything.
Really intelligent biology.
No, I get that.
So yeah, I mean, I'm under the same aspect, but I would have I don't know what you would call weirdo hippie Gnostic views anyway. So I would say that
right. There's
with
never
my
any
perception of
wrong
time
answer to that. It's
and
just
whatnot.
whenever I'm in a conversation with someone and they start telling me the what, I'm always curious as to the why. That's all. There's no wrong answer to it.
Right. There's no wrong questions.
But I would say, okay, so Tom DeLonge is kind of saying that here's the only other thing with this is that Stephen Greer's not saying there's hostiles necessarily. He's just saying that's just generally an open theory.
Exactly.
Yeah. Tom DeLonge is saying they're definitely hostile. So I'm saying
he believes in all of those type of civilizations. All of them.
Right. So, but not necessarily. Stephen Greer's not necessarily saying that we're actively engaged in war or anything. He doesn't know that. That's not what he's saying.
Right.
So, but Tom DeLonge is saying that. So if that's the case, explore why. Okay, so I realize you did telecom in the military, but what logical? Why wouldn't you just come in and wipe us out? Why toy with us for 70 years? Granted, like time could be different, and that could be a day for them, and they're just like, oh, we just went back to go get more guns. We'll be right back.
Right.
But,
the only concept of any kind of extraterrestrial or terrestrial interference with human beings that has ever made any sense to me whatsoever is the simple fisherman catch, tag, and release concept. Because if there was any resource or anything else that an intelligence that we just couldn't grasp, I see no other. If there was something they wanted and they're capable, again, I go back to not the simple idea, but the simple thing to say of interstellar travel. If you are capable of that, the simple implications that come with just having that capability and that kind of technology, if there was something they desired or wanted or needed from human beings, they would just take it, and there wasn't a fucking thing we could do about it.
You'd have some big guns if you could do that
So
stuff.
the only thing that makes any kind of logical sense to me is study. The same thing that we do with all the other little species that are on our planet that we catch, we tag and release, and we follow and that kind of thing.
So maybe they're deciding whether or not to kill us right now. Maybe they're like, maybe it depends on what we do. Maybe they're like, man,
and that's
these things are fucking stupid.
That's like saying somebody
comes the 2016 presidential election.
Yeah, that's what it's hindering.
Our biggest test.
If these motherfuckers don't figure out Bernie was the only candidate, we're just gonna kill all these fuckers.
If Trump really becomes president, reptilians rule all.
Yeah, that's the Trump president. The possibility of a Trump presidency is angering races from light years away. That is how despicable it is.
I don't have words
I'm sorry.
for Trump. I
I'll
really don't.
I'll have an angle on this. This is disgusting. Anyway, so that's just what it's just motive to me. It's just if could we even put up a fight? Really, like how could we reverse engineer something for 70 years? I mean, even if we had these like apparent treaties with different alien races that's been suggested in
then
some of
sure,
these
maybe another alien race could protect us.
Which is something that's being suggested
do?
in these conversations. You're right, but that's right. You're still at the mercy of some other alien, like
right.
that may or may not be just giving you.
And that's why
sure, this will get them. That'll blow up.
And honestly, in a weird way for me, that's why honestly when you start talking about,
but that's why you need to get the public involved in decisions like this, like to a point, because clearly it's too big for the government to handle, and that's why this type of variation in disclosure is happening in such like a widely talked about way. It has to. There's disinformation happening everywhere.
But that makes a lot of assumptions. I mean,
I'm the assumption guy. You're in the middle, or you're like you're the rationale.
Well, I forget what movie. I think it was Men in Black, and I hate to quote a fictional movie, but it's true what he said. He said, "People are ignorant animals. The individual is smart. The individual can be talked to." So when I hear someone say that the public needs to get involved in making these decisions, I'm going to throw up a red flag and say the public may not make the best decision when it comes to...
But I'm saying it's still in the hypothetical situation both of these are talking about. Because, and again, I'm not committed in real life to either of the... I'm more committed to Stephen Greer. But just the idea is more pleasant for me because I don't want to think that we're in I don't want to think that we're in peril right now because from where it's already messed up enough down here. And now I don't want aliens coming down. But if that is the case...
I'm okay either way, honestly.
But if that is the case, I want to know about it because if we're about to get blown up by like an armada of alien ships or something, I think there's a certain point. Granted, let's not let everyone panic and there'll be looting and stuff. But I mean,
what do you mean let?
Yeah, well, sure. If the government knew about it,
what do you think would happen? You know what? Let's take the United States out of it. Let's just take Phoenix, Arizona.
All right.
It's a big metropolitan city. It's just a couple
about
hours that way. Let's just talk about. Let's not go too big a scale.
All right.
When you start talking about disclosure, and disclosure is going to happen, in what possible world or reality is there where if something like that happened, it would not be utter fucking mayhem?
Yeah, well, okay. Fukushima. Do you think that the response...
I don't speak Spanish.
Fukushima, and I'm speaking again in this parallel universe where this is a thing, because this would be a big deal. What we learned from Fukushima, where oh yeah, it's fine, guys. I mean, the first day you heard about it, they're like, yeah, it's in the reactor, it's fine, no problem.
Right.
And then a couple days later, they're like, yeah, it's still going, but we got it, no worries. And then they're like,
everybody's just slowly backing away.
And then they go, don't got it. I mean,
this is not something that's like that to take lightly that people feel is not a big issue.
But for
existence in the universe that is not us.
And that's what I'm saying. So for 70 years or so,
this is something that can break all religious ties. Everything.
But that's why I brought that other thing up, because people will find God in anything. No way. What? Yeah, that's then religion it'll convert. Christians will.
Imagine, but even with that statement, if disclosure happens and you have 1.6 billion Muslims in the world that have just been told and proven, if that's even possible, which I don't think it is, you are now wrong. Your faith is wrong. Your core tenets of your life are wrong. Your moral values are wrong because here's this proof. How does that not end in sheer mayhem?
Exactly. And this is why the government doesn't want anyone to know. Or this is why they tell us.
It's like painting yourself into a corner. It's like you have no choice.
So playing the devil's advocate, is disclosure even a good idea to begin with? But maybe both these guys are wrong trying to expose it.
The more that people understand
that's a valid point.
What is really going on, what the government's true role in this.
Right. Well,
the
there's no
more
way for
that
us to know.
the-
We're
the-
completely speculating.
The more that
Right.
the world is educated on what's really going on, the more that we're able to handle the situation properly. The more that people can open their mind and evolve their mind to be able to actually handle disclosure. The more people that talk about it.
That's the only reason abductions would make sense to me then. Aliens taking one person at a time up there going, yo, dude, we're real. We're not going to hurt you. And we're going to do this one person at a time because if we tell a group, you're going to fucking kill each other.
Again,
most
again.
most
Say that to
abduction stories.
say that to like one of these fucking chihuahuas laying around and go, hey, everything's gonna be cool. You just gotta chill out for 5 minutes. I'm gonna put you next to someone you hate just for a second, and then they don't hear what you're saying because they're just you're just going blah 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 blah. They go, oh, some dickhead I hate, fuck you, and then I mean that's how they are. They can't hear what we're saying, so maybe they're telling us to be cool.
But no.
No.
That's only showing one side of the coin. You can't say if you're going to make these.
We might not be listening, is what I'm saying.
Right. So if you're
maybe
and
that's
I
why
don't
they're
agree with
flying.
that. I don't
Maybe
agree
that's
with
why
that
they're
either.
flying around. Maybe they're flying around to just go, hey, ask questions.
If you're going to exist inside, if you're going to talk about this frame of this world where these beings are that much more advanced than us, you're giving a limitation that we can only understand a certain limit, and that's our limitation, assuming that they don't have the ability to make us understand.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, it's all speculation, so
Right.
who really knows?
Of course.
But anyway, all right. Well, that was a pretty good conversation. Where are we at? We're at like pretty far. I don't know. It's so much I can't even tell. So we got a couple. We got to see and more C5 experiments coming up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna give it a shot a couple more times before we
Well,
actually
Banana wants
make
us to
our
do that.
actual consensus or whether we believe it is.
Yeah. So I mean, this will be a long-standing a discussion that we'll probably come back to a few times because it's
sure.
pretty relevant. Because again, I think all of us are under the assumption that we're getting close to something. I mean, there's too many people talking about this out in the open now. There's lots of people just reporting seeing things. There's more and more videos that look reasonably, look
Right.
pretty reasonable. Something's coming, and it's
Well, and that's
interesting.
why I also think that the world's not worse lately. We're just filming it.
Yeah, no, I agree, absolutely, and that's the thing is again when whoever's right, whatever perspective ends up being the one. Again, history's always written by the winners, so who's ever in charge is gonna probably make it look good for them.
I could not agree with that more.
Yeah, so I mean, just keep that in mind. All right, so well, thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us.
Well, hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks
Yeah,
for.
no, thanks for coming on. That was a lot of fun.
I think
can't wait
we'll have more
to see what we're gonna do for our next one.
Yeah, I like you. You're like the goalie. You push me back out, and
Well, it's just because I like you, Mike.
yeah, that was a bad analogy too. I'm not very good at analogies.
No, you should have just stuck with the basketball analogies.
I know that's pretty good. All right, so we are gonna leave you.
Well, before we go, I want to bring in
That's right.
Tamara here, so we could talk a little bit
got some
about
stuff
an
coming
event
up.
that we have going on. I got Tamara here, aka Plastic Disease. If you know her, she does DJing and she's part of Alter de Ruin as well as I Am Drugs. She's known all around. She hosts a lot of events here in Tucson as well. We have an event coming up here later in August. You want to talk a little bit about that, Tamara?
Yeah. First of all, what an introduction. I feel like
I had to let people know everything you do. Give the
Wow.
list.
Star.
The
that's
list.
amazing. So yes, we do have an event coming up together. So it's Club Sanctuary and Ritual Presents Intergalactic. And Rosie and I are putting the event together, and it's space and alien themed. She's going to have a really, really awesome photo booth going on.
Yes.
We have a guest DJ, Daniel Graves from Aesthetic Perfection, who's pretty decent sized band, in the industrial scene. So we're pretty excited about that, and we're gonna have 2 rooms of dancing, industrial EBM, music from space. I'm not sure what that is yet, but I'll figure it out.
We're learning it, that's for sure.
Yes, exactly. So that's on August 19th at the Surly Winch Pub. So did you want to talk about the photo booth? Because I know you had some really cool ideas for that.
I'm so excited about it. We're going to be making some awesome plans. I'm going to have a photo booth that's going to be space related. I'm going to create my own planet, I guess I should say. We're kind of cross promoting the podcast as well as my project that I've mentioned a few times, Exophilia, which you can look for more on exophilia.com, and the photo booth. We're gonna want people to come in dressed up, alien, space, everything futuristic related.
Balians.
Yes, Balians. We want all the Balians to come out, all you hot Balians, and where you'll be able to take a photo in the photo booth. I'm also going to be doing a costume contest, which you'll be able to be featured in the Exophilia book. So, and a lot of, I think I might even feature most of the photos in the photo booth. So if you want that chance to be featured in the Exophilia book, and Exophilia will also be coming out with merch, which I'll be hitting up all the Comic Cons as well as the UFO events and stuff. So anyone that's into the extraterrestrial, definitely the sexy extraterrestrials.
Yes.
I should say that. all the hot alien babes. So come out if you're in the Tucson area, or if you're not, come out and visit us and check out the event. The music's going to be awesome, and the costumes I know are going to be amazing.
That's
so
it's one of the best parts, is just seeing what people come up with,
yes.
and their creativity.
That's why I wanted to do the costume contest as well as the photo booth, because I want people to come dress up, and you get to win a free shoot with me, which with my company No Regrets Photography, who's also sponsoring it. So it'll be lots of fun. I know a lot of people that will be excited to do that.
Totally.
Awesome.
You can find more information about the event at facebook.com/Club Sanctuary. The event page is up there, and you can see everything you need to know.
Awesome. And where can people follow you for other events?
You can find me on Facebook under Plastic Disease, and it's spelled the way you think it is. I do a lot of stuff in town at various venues on 4th Avenue and downtown, and also in Phoenix and out of state.
And you're also doing a big event in LA later, 2 big events in LA, which were...
Yeah, so the Das Bunker 20-year anniversary, I'm going to be DJing at that, and us as a band, Altered Ruin, we're also playing, which is fantastic because the lineup is pretty incredible. Yeah. I mean, it's like 30 bands, like every span as far as like what Das Bunker has touched. I mean, they're pretty legendary.
Awesome. How excited. And Wasteland Weekend. We're doing Wasteland Weekend too.
Yes. Oh my, so many things in LA happening.
So many exciting things we can talk about.
Oh my goodness.
But
yeah.
Mike.
Well, yeah, you have to give us a report. Tamara, so would you like to introduce this song that you picked for
our closing song?
Our closing song.
We had her pick a very theme appropriate song for our podcast.
I've heard
tonight.
you're a pretty okay DJ.
Shut up, Tommy.
Yes, seriously. No, yeah. So this is a band we got pretty into lately from the show Stranger Things, right?
Wait. So I'm not trying to be like, I've been playing them forever, but I have been playing this band for like 3 years now at my DJ nights. But I'm really excited that everyone's discovering them finally because they're really awesome.
So what's the name of this one?
The band is called Survive, and the name of the song is Short Hour.
And for those that don't know, this is the same band that does the theme song for the newly popular Netflix series Stranger Things, which I know we all love.
Yeah, stop what you're doing right now and go watch it. It's incredible.
After you listen to this song,
just wait a second.
Before you listen to the song.
It's totally worth it. And then go to Spotify and listen to more of their stuff.
All right, here you go. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks
you for
listening.
checking it out.
Bye.
Bye.